Hey everybody, it's Brandon, and I'm going to be taking a look at Evolved Super Heroic Time Travel Role-Playing Game. This is by Bloat Games. It was a successful Kickstarter. It's powered by DCC RPG, and it is a complete role-playing game. You do not need the DCC RPG book in order to play it. It is a real meaty tome. It's got a lot of stuff going on for it, and I think it looks really good. It's got a lot of great pieces of art in it. There was also 4 adventures that were available during the Kickstarter that you can get as well. I'll have a link down in the description, multiple links actually. If you want to pick this up, drive through RPG for the PDF, or you can go to Bloat Games to get it in print. It'll come with the PDF as well. And I dig the cover. I think it looks really good. This is the D-Make cover. And there's the spine. Here is the back right here. Again, like it says, complete role-playing game by Bloat Games. So, let's take a look and see who worked on this. Created by Eric Bloat and Josh Palmer. Lead designer was Jeff Seifert, and they all did the writing for it. The cover art, the original piece of art, is by Roger Bonnet, I guess his name is. And the alternate D-Make cover, pretty much took that cover and kind of demaked it, was Kerry Callan, who has some experience in the comic book industry. I think he did a great job. This is the D-Make cover right here. And there's a lot of art by Christopher Torres, Phil Stone, and Runehammer. And the editing is done by Brandon Geringer. That is me. I did the editing and proofreading of this massive book, and it was very challenging. But that will not have anything to play in this video. So let's go ahead and take a look. We've got our DCC core mechanic here. I'm not going to be able to break down everything that's in this book, because this is meaty. When I think about this game, and I was asked many times when I was working on it what I thought about it. And I will say that as I was reading it, I just got more and more into what it was doing. Of course, I was reading it extremely thoroughly, but the story, this Tears in Time, a Dark Fracture World Primer, is helpful to let you know what's going on. But it's very interesting, and it gives you really an option. You can just play superheroes out of this if you want, but this is going to tell you about a dark future because time travel is involved. Thus, that's why it is the super heroic time travel role-playing game. And so what's happened is these energies have been, because of time travel, have caused a random advance in evolution in many of those exposed to those energies. Abnormal physical deformities, death, while others have gotten strange, powerful abilities. And so the era of the super being has arrived. So those passing through time portals found that they were transported into a future of the year 2051. And the future depicted was frightening. The world had changed so much as to begin to be unrecognizable, with war and strife rampant, and the involved finding themselves hunted or destroyed or captured by robots and cyborgs created by humans who feared them, used and controlled by their governments as leverage against other factions, and leading rebellions against the humans to demonstrate their perceived superiority in a bid for power. There's nuclear war, biological, gene warfare, cloning vats, and other things out of science fiction, including aliens bent on domination, and their own internal conflicts had come to the world on force, creating chaos and bedlam. So you've got two time, in essence, eras that you've got. And you've got 2026 and the year 2051, and that's going to play a part in this storyline. So let's go ahead and start flipping through it. One thing I really like is that, there's Christopher Torres does a great job, and huge pieces of art, as you can see here. Full page, just boom, you can see it right there. It's going to tell you about the funky dice, the dice chain. We know that from DCC. But this right here, what has changed from the Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG core rules? This is a very good thing to read, to let people know about. It's going to let them know what is really in this thing. So, new occupations. There's a prosperity die mechanic for purchases, pretty much a usage die that's going to go down or go up. You've got the path system, which is similar to, of course, Weird Frontiers, in which you're going to have, instead of alignment, so you're going to have two, different paths you're going to go on. There's new weapons, firearms, explosives, simplified armor categories, as well as weapon and arm modifications. There's character creation and rules that enable playing in 2 different eras. Those ones I spoke about. You're going to have 2 versions of the same character. One first through 5th level for the year 2026, and another 6th through 10th level for the year 2051. Vehicles and vehicle rules, including Rex, similar to the American Survival Guide. 8 new classes, with some familiar and some different and new. You're going to have the Cerebral Adept, the Metamorph, the Movement Monarch, the Overhauler, the Regulator, the Scrapper, the Thunderstroke, and the Warder. There are 2 classes from Starcrawl, the Soldier and the Scoundrel, for those who don't want to play an evolved PC. So that's an interesting thing that you can have a whole campaign on that, dealing with these superheroes in essence, and villains of course, but being a normal person. There's a new Mighty Deed of Prowess, the Fastball Special. Introduction of evolved exploits, known in other RPGs as power stunts. There's a rank system for the evolved abilities. There's 126 evolved abilities across 11 ability sets, and of course there's a whole bunch there. Fortune token rules. It says cribbed from DCC Dying Earth Grudge token mechanic, if you know that. There's a new siphoning subsystem when using evolved abilities, and there are sidekick rules. Now, I would love to be able to go through all of that, but there's just too much to it. So I just want to flip through, let you know what I think about certain aspects of it. There's a lot of different little, piece of art here, there, everywhere. It's going to tell you about the evolved creation funnel. Now, one thing I will tell you here is that because this is superheroes and what it's dealing with, this is much different than DCC. There's a lot of stuff going on. But it's going to really break it down to you in an easy way that you just need to follow a lot of these different tables and guide you through the character creation process. So we've got our character funnel at 0 level. And one thing that's interesting is that you can actually start to evolve into your evolved superhero in the middle of the funnel. And there's rules for that as well. So just some things that, as I'm going through it, that kind of stand out to me. So telling you about, your strength checks and lifting, the different ability scores and how they're going to play. You've got your ability score modifiers here. Again, big full pages of art there. You've got your birth sign. A lot of this is going to be very, easy to understand if you're coming from DCC RPG. But if you're not, this is still, as long as you follow it and know that this is a meaty game. This isn't just, I think if someone hands you a character sheet, you could really roll with it the way you can with DCC RPG. But if you really want to delve deep into this game, it's got a lot of stuff going for it. So a lot of stuff that, here, occupations, very much kind of what we know. Maybe a bouncer. He's got, a billy club, black sunglasses. You're going to get your starting equipment. And there's a whole bunch of those, obviously. Wealth, the prosperity die, it's going to start with a D10, and that's where, when you're going to make certain luck checks and stuff for your die, you're going to have the different DCs, and it's either going to go up or go down based off that die. And those are being used in a lot of different games now, and I like them a lot, and I think it's an easy mechanic. Weapon training, evolved ability training. Choosing a path, the path system, again, much like from Weird Frontiers, and it talks about that, how you walk the line, and you have 2 different paths here, the path of the hero or the path of the villain, and it's going to get you certain benefits and some drawbacks as well. And so, basics of the XP system is going to tell you about that and how it's going to be required through the different years and the levels based off the years and how much you'll need to get, and then here's all those different classes right there. Like I said, I really have to make this kind of an abridged version of it. So this is an important table here, the classes and evolved ability score. And what's going to have is you're going to have certain type of classes and different ranks and different abilities and a certain focus, such as the cerebral adept is either intelligence or personality. And then you're going to go through this process. It's going to explain each one of these things here. I said I can't get through it all. We're going to be here for a really long time. But this is where it's at. First level evolved ability generation. This is how you're going to take your character. And I love that there's an example right here. So step 1, step 2, you're going to go through this to create your character. And this is more of a random character generation whenever you get first level. You're going to pick your class, and that's going to kind of give you the direction of how those abilities are going to go. But as long as you just go through the steps and then follow this character generation, you're going to be able to get all your abilities and how strong they are. But if you'd like for stuff to be a little bit less random, a little bit less, of course, you've got this alternative method right there. And then what we've got is, so you're going to have a character that's first level, and we're going to make you can make a first level character, then you need to make the 6th level character from the year 2051. Should you want to use, of course, this cool backstory that's got going on for it. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll on this table here, and you're going to start rolling on this, and it's going to give you like a quick leveling up system to get your character up to 6th level. You're not going to go through and level to 2nd level like you normally do, and then 3rd level. You're going to do this, and it's going to give you certain improvements to your character, more abilities, and this is a really smart way of going about that, and I really, really dig that a lot. So then we're going to break into our different types of evolved, and that's what they're called. The cerebral adept here is always going to be like mental masters, psychics, witches, soothsayers, and you've got their table here. The metamorph is going to be someone who their specialty is the ability to alter their own physical forms, or in some cases, those of others, or whose own bodies have been permanently altered in some way. You've got the movement monarch. This is going to be your Flash type character here. Masters of speed, able to traverse the land at incredible speeds, fly through the air or burrow under the ground, teleport, and much more. You've got your overhauler. This is going to be your technical whiz, your mechanical gurus, it says, and your computer geniuses. So that's pretty neat. They're going to use a lot of gadgets and stuff. The regulators, they're capable of manipulating a target's physical nature, their evolved abilities, existing energies, and existing matter. They have the potential to negate threats at the source through regulation of access of EAs, which is their evolved abilities, as well as mitigation of damage from other effects. So they can really affect a lot of energy. You've got the Scrapper here. They excel at close combat and taking down threats head on. They rely on physical prowess and their evolved abilities to distract and inflict damage. You've got your Thunderstroke here. These are going to be your blasters, it says, focusing on attacks from range as well as attacks that have an area of effect. And they're going to kind of control the battlefield from afar. Here's your Warder. This is your bricks and tanks. This is going to be your Incredible Hulk right here. And of course, they're going to get their own abilities here. No pain, no gain. Mighty Deed of Prowess is what they're going to get. And of course, they're going to get like accuracy and dual blaster, boom. So own class type abilities. Then you've got your scoundrels. It could be your spies, smugglers, and pirates. Again, these are not evolved characters. These are going to be normal people here. And they're going to have a certain amount of skills. The scoundrel will, and then the soldier will be, of course, have a chain of command and have squad tactics and heroic effort. And like I said, this is neat if you want to play characters going up against these superheroes. Or supervillains, I should say. So, rules for ability checks, all this stuff, pretty normal when it comes to DCC. It's not very big. Skill checks for common activities. You're going to know that very much from the DCC book. And then a very interesting section here on equipment. And that's one of the things when reading this book, it was like, oh man, we've got to deal with weapons and grenades and armor and how this all works together. You know, different types of grenades and how they go off and what they do. So you've got equipment in 2026 and 2051. Pretty meaty section here with a lot of the stuff that you want. That you're going to want to get for your characters, or you're going to have, of course, go against you. And it's going to tell you what years they're available with a bunch of descriptions here of them. And you're going to have some weapon modifications as well that you can do stuff. Advanced alloys, it's security keyed, it's supercharged, your armor might be powered. You might have a force cloak or a force defense screen. So a lot of techno stuff right there for you. More armor modifications and equipment, support class weapons. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff in this. Then you got vehicles. You've got faster than light travel and jump gates. It really has to cover the whole gambit of the now and the future when it comes to different type of technologies here. Vehicle special properties, fog lamps, extra cargo, dual tires, quick fixes for vehicles and repair costs. And then you're going to go into combat right here. So, you're going to know a lot about this if you already know DCC. A lot of this stuff is going to be pretty normal for you. Fumbles, the attack roll, a bunch of different fumbles here for powered weapons or firearms. Critical hit tables, of course, can be broken down based off different type of classes and what type of enemy you're facing. So you can see that's a pretty big section there. Opponent critical hit matrix here. What table they use? Dragon or large reptile. Extraplanar beings. The undead have a big one. Giants and artificial life forms. Monsters, just straight up monsters. Here's critical tables for firearms. And of course, they're going to do a lot more damage to you. Grenades. I mean, you can see this is a big section here. Lots of tables to go over. And then we've got stuff for aircraft and mechs. Yes, even mechs. That's pretty cool as well. Whole rules here for vehicle control checks and whether or not they get wrecked. Wipeout results. So there is a pretty detailed system that didn't seem extremely complicated. Sometimes that stuff can get really complicated. Crit table, machine versus man. Here is vehicular manslaughter, should you go up against a character in the flesh. Chase rules, wreck damage. You use a fuel die. It's kind of like the prosperity die. Mighty Deed of Prowess here. Talking about the different deeds If you know DCC, then obviously you're going to know stuff like this as well. And then all the rules you need for stuff like bleeding and healing and burning luck, 2-weapon fighting, all that stuff there, firing into melee, a bunch of different types of damage that can happen to you, being blinded, and status effects if you wish. And then we're going to go into the real meat right here, which is the evolved abilities. It's going to tell you about chrono burn. You can pretty much understand what that's going to be. It's kind of like spell burn for the evolved. The evolved ability result right here is going to kind of help you as another table. There's several tables in there that are going to be kind of clutch tables you'll be using a good bit whenever you make your character and play the game. But it's going to tell you a lot of stuff for like automatic criticals when it comes to chrono burn, how you do exploits as well. A lot of this, like I said, is where it kind of starts to get, you need to really kind of read it, understand it, and just go through it. There's a procedure you do. And like I said, I'd love to be able to go through all this, but this video would be hours and hours long. Evo burn can happen. You can actually gain or lose evolved abilities with that. And so that's, you may not want that, or maybe you do. Here's that thing about evolving during a funnel, which I think that's really neat that that's just in there. That can actually happen. Like as you start to do stuff, that your evolved ability is going to come out in the middle of your funnel. It's going to be neat. And then here's the evolved abilities by evolved ability set and what page they are. These are all the different abilities, as you can see right here. And of course, and they're going to break down into categories, of course, the different sets, if you wish. And it's going to be much like spells from DCC, and there are a ton of them, and look at all this work. This brings back memories. This is a ton of abilities. Everything that you'd want. I was thinking of stuff before I started reading it, and I was like, okay, I wonder where this will be. Will this ability show up? And sure enough, it does. And it's going to have everything you can pretty much think of when it comes to superhero powers. When it comes to supers, they're going to be there. Energy generation, you can see right there. There's a lot of cool spot art here and there in it, but look at all this. All these entries right here. I'm going to tell you what you can do. Here's a nuclear explosion blast outward from the evolved. I mean, the power of it goes up huge. Energy regulation, a lot of control over energy and matter is involved in this. But I just have to start taking huge chunks here as I start flipping through it. Entity regulation. There's psychic transfer ability, tactician, vampirism. You can pretty much, I believe, you can make every superhero that's out there with this game. Which, of course, is exactly what you want with a superhero game. You want to be able to have all those at your, under, something that you could go to and be like, hey, someone wants to play your game. Hey, I want to make this character. Okay, you're going to need to get this and this, and this is going to kind of make that character. There's matter regulation. Obviously, much like DCC, just a huge section in the book. I mean, I'm having to just jump over huge things here as we get to the end of it. It's going to happen. I know I'm going to get there. Incredible art here all throughout. I love the full page. Here's here we get to the part about movement. And you will have stuff like fault and a blunder, how it manifests from your character. Because this is adhesion right here. It's going to be a spider's ability to climb vertical surfaces, and then of course your rolls. You're going to have stuff that's going to maybe it's called siphoning. That's going to kind of mess you up. It's kind of a negative thing, obviously, to you. That's going to happen. Again, great art all throughout it, but just a huge mammoth section of this book until we get to the end. Faults is caused by an evolved trying too hard to reach into their power source. And when they try to activate an EA or hanging around areas of significant chronal energy and suffering temporal backlash, Evo burn as a result. So it's going to have a lot of that there for you. What's going to happen with siphoning. That's something that, some of it kind of reminds me of how you've got like a cleric in DCC, how their disapproval kind of goes up. You're going to kind of have that with siphoning as well. It's going to do some damage to you in strength, agility, or stamina. You'll roll that up. Here's a small section about quests and journeys. Should you be, you're running this game, what type quests, what type missions to put them on, maybe breathing underwater, summoning creatures from beyond, unparalleled power, slay an immortal. Let's give you some ideas about some of the things you can do when it comes to creating, your session or your campaign. And then here's the judges' rules right here. A lot of stuff right here just to tell you how to deal with this game. Advice for judges, tips for them to help them, experience points, how to deal with luck. And I will let you know there is a way that you can kind of take an evolved's ability and kind of tweak it and kind of grab some other evolved abilities to make it exactly what you want. And you can also make it so that that ability maybe it requires something. Maybe it only goes off at nighttime. Maybe you have to do something in order for it to work. Or maybe your powers are hampered if you're in close proximity to a certain thing. So it does have those little tweaks to your abilities as well. Fortune tokens here, they're used to track kind of like the fortune in the setting. Luck plays no small part in the stories of superheroes. And so it says it's a thing that you can pretty much give to another player or use for another player in order to, and this is interesting here, it says it's whenever they make a successful attack. So it's not whenever they miss. It's not like, hey, you rolled. But so really what you want to do is you want to use this, you can use it against the judge, against the villains that you're up against. And so it can be used for a roll of an action die, an EA check, a saving throw, whatever it may be. And it says, anytime the PC on the team rolls a critical success, they receive a fortune token. And so you can spend them to, of course, affect someone else's fortune. But it has to be on, again, successful roll of an attack die, and they are not used against someone to make them reroll a failed roll. So you definitely want to use those against the judges. Here's a whole section here about managing time jumping and how it deals, how you can, different type of outcomes that can happen, whether or not that person in the future is there whenever you teleport there, whenever you time jump there, whether or not maybe your mind switch out with them, but you've got their physical body. So a lot of neat things here when it comes to managing that time jumping aspect to it. And there's a bunch of rules here for time jumping, how it works. Here's your rules for sidekicks, and then we've got a big section here on NPC villains, heroes, henchmen, minions, and monsters. And this is, since you're having to do with time travel, there's a whole bunch of different type of enemies you may face that are all throughout time. There's a lot of neat tables in the back here that you can roll up, like humanoid skin color. It'll just give you a lot of random tables, appearances, human weaponry, to help create those bad guys. Random villain creation right here, what type villain species they are, what their motivation is, what their weakness may be, what their costume might be like. So very cool just to roll up different type of villains with these tables right here. Relationship with the PCs, affiliations into different times. So very cool stuff right there. I really enjoyed these tables here. Balancing encounters, NPC creature traits, different properties and stuff, things that happen in their death throws. A lot of cool stuff in the back here. Then we've got our villains of the year 2026 with all their stats, some really cool art. There's some really neat factions that are going on during this time, both times actually. Heroes of 2026 that you can be involved in. I see this as something you can play very easily, but then this is where, when you delve into these characters and these factions and what's going on in the storyline, you can really have some real epic campaigns and really do your part in this grand story that's being told here. But one thing I will say that I do enjoy, and it's gonna come to the back, is that the story of what's happening with the futures is not completely told in this book. It's kind of left a little bit open, much the way that the characters know it. So it's neat to be able to read that and wonder exactly what's happening. Fantastic piece of art right there. Obviously giving you Sentinel vibes. And you'll pick up on a lot of stuff, obviously, from other characters that you may know. Here's the heroes of 2051 and what's going on with them. Some real extensive backstories for some of these characters that really help you get into the feel of this story. And then we've got this huge bestiary right here. Some of the different aliens that you'll come across with their different abilities and powers and stats. The Unmen is a cool name. I like that a lot. A lot of cool weaponry that some of these alien races and villains have. Humans and humanoids here, and this is where you'll see. Here's a bandit from the Wild West. Here's a dude from Rome. Here is a lost time traveler. Here's the Mafia. There's so many different things in here that you can use. United States Civil War cavalry. There's a soldier, and there's the horse. There's dinosaurs. A lot of different things that, since you're going to be moving through time, that you'll be able to throw at your players. Here's a bunch of giant ants. A lot of these are really cool, just in general, to have for DCC, a modern setting for DCC. If you want the stats for them, you've got them here. Wolves, rhinoceroses, and everything like that. Angelic or demonic extraplanar beings. Some things for them there. Ghosts, Sasquatch, Really great stuff. A skeleton. And then this is for judges' eyes only. This is going to break down year by year what happened in this dark fracture of the future. And of course, I'm not going to go too much into it, but it's a really great read. And obviously, if you're going to run this game, you want to know this pretty well to get what's happening, the different factions that are happening during that time, who is what in the government. A lot of really cool stuff, different nations and what's going on with them and how they react to time travel. Because time travel all of a sudden became a big global thing with the governments whenever it came to be. Here's a bunch of languages right there, poisons and venoms, some stuff here back in the appendix. Time loss zones and random encounters, terrorist attacks, if you want to create one of those, because bad guys like to do a lot of those things. And some just really neat stuff here at the back, a lot of neat tables. And then just an awesome piece of art right there, showing you a lot of the characters that you'll read about in it. So I dig it. And it was a thing where, yes, I did the proofreading on it. So I read it very, very thoroughly. I did the best I could. It's a huge job, and I really dig the story. I think it's neat. That may not be for everybody. It may be a little bit too much work for some players that just want to have a superhero game, but you can still do that. This has got everything you need just to play a normal superhero, crime-fighting type of group. Or if you want to delve into this really cool story, that may give you some taste of a certain X-Men storyline when it comes to time travel, but it allows for this game to be bigger, to have a bigger, deeper campaign with a lot of different things going on with it, should you want to have that in your game. That may not be for everybody, but it was a thing where as reading it, I was more and more impressed and really amazed at how thorough it is with its abilities, with a lot of its technical stuff that it's got going on when it comes to technology and all the stuff that has to be in there when it comes to weapons and grenades and armor and stuff like that, with the vehicles, all those rules there. It's taken things from like Weird Frontiers and American, and it just kind of throws it all together to make a really neat thing where it needs those tools. That's kind of how I see it. So you grab that from that because that's done really well, and you grab that from that and you put it in here on top of its already really neat character creation system that you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through and to make those characters. I dig it. I think it's really cool. It was a thing where, again, I was more impressed the more I thoroughly read it, and all the options that are there I thought were really, really cool. So there's Evolved. I've got 4 adventures that were part of the Kickstarter as well. I'll probably be doing videos on these sometime in the future too. So if you like this, you want a superhero game that looks good, very thorough, has got a neat kind of dark future time travel aspect to it, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. But it is a meaty game. It is. This is not a very quick rules light. Even though it's DCC, it adds on some stuff to it because it has to. That's one of the things that I read. I was like, you know what? It has to have these things, and it needs to have all these different options because that's just how the superhero genre is. You need to have a lot of those aspects to kind of make it malleable and make it be able to modify the type of ability and character that you want to play. So there it is. There's Evolved, the super heroic time travel role-playing game. Thanks.